After making sure the bathroom was empty, Jacob quickly installed the camera. Only minutes later, he was already back in his office and looking at the security footage on his screen. Very quickly, he saw a woman enter the bathroom and do something unexpected. She obviously had no idea that she was being recorded. Jacob turned pale after seeing what this woman did. But before we start our story, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. Frustrated, but undeterred, Jacob returned to his office to scrutinize the footage again. It confirmed his worst fears. The woman had indeed been carrying a gun. Realizing he had overlooked the possibility of the gun being hidden in the toilet tank, he returned to the bathroom and discovered the weapon concealed there. Using a glove to avoid leaving fingerprints, he retrieved the gun and began examining it. However, before he could make sense of the situation, he was struck on the head and lost consciousness. When Jacob awoke, he found himself on the bathroom floor, his head bleeding and the gun missing. Despite the pain and confusion, he managed to clean up the scene, ensuring there was no evidence of the altercation. Back in his office, he reviewed the security footage, focusing on the moments leading up to his attack. The video showed a figure dressed in black, but their identity remained obscured. Jacob knew he couldn't involve the police because of the illegal camera installation and his own questionable past. Determined to solve the mystery on his own, he began casually questioning regular customers about any unusual observations. Many mentioned a mysterious car frequently parked nearby and late-night gatherings at a diner across the street. These clues suggested a larger, possibly sinister operation unfolding around him. Compiling a list of suspicious activities and individuals, Jacob realized the gas station was a stage for a drama he was only beginning to understand. He decided to stake out the gas station from a hidden spot, watching for any suspicious activity. One night, he observed a car arriving and figures exchanging something quickly, confirming his suspicions of clandestine activities. Longing to get closer to the shadowy figures, Jacob knew the risk was too great. Any sudden movement could expose him, ruining the anonymity he had maintained. Frustration gnawed at him as he was so close to uncovering the truth, yet it remained just out of reach, obscured by the night. He strained to memorize every detail of their movements and conversation, each observation a vital clue to the enigma he was determined to solve. These figures held the key, and Jacob was resolute in his mission to uncover their secrets. As dawn approached, Jacob felt the toll of the night's vigil. His body ached from hours of stillness, and his eyes burned from constant watchfulness. Despite the exhaustion and risk, his resolve remained unshaken. This was his path, and he walked it with determination, albeit weary. Keeping a cautious distance, Jacob tailed one of the suspects, blending into the environment. His senses were heightened, every sound and shadow magnified. The suspect moved with purpose, piquing Jacob's curiosity further. He followed, careful not to draw attention, a silent shadow tracking another through the dimly lit streets. The trail led to an ominous warehouse on the town's outskirts. Its dilapidated exterior hid the dealings inside. Jacob watched as the suspect slipped through a side entrance. The air was thick with mystery and malice. This place was a nexus of untold stories, each more sinister than the last. From his hidden vantage point, Jacob observed shadowy figures convening. An exchange occurred, brief and silent. Among them was Mr. Brooks, his demeanor starkly different from the amiable boss Jacob knew. The realization hit him hard, the implication sending ripples of dread through his mind. His boss was involved, deeply and darkly. As the figures dispersed, a storm brewed in Jacob's mind. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, revealing a picture more complex and dangerous than he had imagined. The network, the secrecy, his boss's role, it was overwhelming. Jacob knew he was on the brink of something vast, the scope of which was only just beginning to reveal itself. With the meeting over and the warehouse quiet again, Jacob retreated into the night. He moved with new urgency, his mind racing. The revelations demanded action, but he needed a plan. As he disappeared into the shadows, his resolve hardened. He was no longer just an observer, he was a participant in a dangerous game of cat and mouse. Jacob's phone buzzed with an ominous message. "Stop looking." The threat was clear. Someone was watching him, aware of his every move. The anonymity of the sender heightened the sense of danger that now enveloped his life. The feeling of being watched grew palpable. As Jacob moved through his day, shadows seemed to follow him. Figures lingered too long. The world had become a maze of mirrors, each reflection a potential watcher. The sense of exposure was relentless and unnerving. In solitude, Jacob wrestled with the idea of confiding in Mr. Brooks, but the image of his boss at the shady warehouse muddled his trust. Was he a victim or a perpetrator? Jacob's mind spun with troubling possibilities. The path forward was shrouded in doubt and fear. With each passing threat, Jacob's fear turned into a burning resolve. He couldn't let this unseen enemy dictate his actions. His life and choices were his own. This resolve became a shield, fortifying his spirit against the darkness that sought to envelop him. Jacob took practical steps to safeguard himself. He changed his routines, becoming unpredictable in his movements. Every action was calculated to throw off potential followers. He also started keeping notes, documenting everything. If anything happened to him, he wanted a trail of breadcrumbs left behind. Jacob was not going to be an easy target. Just as he let his guard down, chaos erupted. During the chaos, a surprising ally emerged. The woman, previously shrouded in mystery, revealed herself as an undercover agent. Jacob was taken aback, the pieces of the puzzle finally clicking into place. Her admission shifted the dynamics, providing a glimmer of hope amidst the standoff. She was not an enemy, but a partner in the quest for justice. The biggest shock came when Jacob's boss, Mr. Brooks, was exposed as a key player in the crime ring. The man he had known and worked for was unrecognizable, a facade masking a dark and criminal underbelly. The betrayal stung, a bitter pill to swallow. Jacob grappled with the revelation, his world turned upside down. As the truth unfolded, the criminal's facade began to crumble. Infighting and panic set in, their plans unraveling at the seams. Jacob watched as their once cohesive unit fractured, the weight of their deeds finally catching up. It was a cascade of consequences, each revelation leading to another, the dominoes of their empire tumbling down. The climax arrived with the wail of sirens and the flashing of lights. The police, armed with the evidence and testimony needed, swooped in to make the arrests. One by one, the members of the crime ring were handcuffed and read their rights. Relief washed over Jacob as he realized it was over. Justice was finally being served. The long night had ended. As the dust settled, the gas station returned to a semblance of normalcy. Yellow tape cordoned off areas, and officers moved about, finalizing their reports. Jacob watched as the last of the crime ring was led away, their reign of terror conclusively dismantled. The place he had worked for so long had been secured, the threat that lurked within its walls eradicated. In the quiet aftermath, Jacob discovered a recording left by the undercover agent. It was tucked away, meant for his eyes only. His hands trembled slightly as he pressed play, the agent's voice filling the room. The message was a beacon in the darkness, a final piece to the puzzle that had consumed his life. The agent's voice was calm, recounting her mission and the role Jacob inadvertently played. She acknowledged the danger he faced and the courage he exhibited. Her words of thanks were sincere, recognizing the sacrifices he made. Jacob listened, a mix of emotions swirling within. Her acknowledgement was a balm to the wounds he'd sustained, both physical and mental. The message ended, and Jacob sat in silence. The journey had been long, fraught with peril and uncertainty. He reflected on the events, the decisions he made, and the people he encountered. It was time to close this chapter, to heal and rebuild. The experience had changed him, but he was ready to move forward, to find peace and purpose again. With the gas station in his rearview mirror, Jacob drove away. The road stretched out before him, leading to new horizons and new possibilities. He felt a sense of freedom. A weight lifted. The future was uncertain, but he was undeterred. His journey had just begun, a path toward healing, toward a new beginning. The sun rose ahead, heralding the dawn of a new day.